So I knew you were in the Army, of course. Everybody knew that. But when we did shows together earlier this year, I was surprised at sound check when you called the band up with a bugler doing reveille. That was weird. We're rolling. Good evening, I'm Clint Black, and tonight I am talking in circles with a great American, my buddy Craig Morgan. You came to this success in the music business late in life, later in life than many.
I'd spent the early part of my life in the military. And what a lot of people might not know, I was born in Nashville. I grew up here.
Yeah, nobody's born. It's like Vegas.
That's
Nobody's
exactly
really
right.
from here.
Which is why I said I'd never, at the time growing up, I don't want anything to do with that business because everybody up there is trying to be in that business, you know. I lived out in Kingston Springs, a little town about 40 miles from Nashville, and was working my way at MTSU, and I just did not have the desires to be an entertainer. My dad was a musician. So
yeah, what did he do?
He played bass. There was an old show called Pop Goes the Country.
Oh, yeah.
Young Country.
So he's the house
Ralph
band?
Emery.
Was he on there?
He was in the house band there off and on.
So he knew a lot of the people already in the business.
He did. And he also always had another job. You know, I would go watch him when they would do tapings, the TNN tapings. And I remember watching that, and then the next morning, I'd get up and go to work, and I thought, man, I don't want to do a job that I have to have another job to be able to do. So I went in the Army. And then I came home from the Army, and I stayed in the Army, and I worked at Walmart. I did vinyl sign, all that so I could write songs.
When you joined the Army, how did the decision come about? You worked as a fireman?
I did.
Yeah? And you thought about law enforcement?
I did. I was contemplating law enforcement at the time, and honestly, it was looking at either that or the military. And I opted for the military because, like I said, I grew up in Kingston Springs, a little town just west of here. A big deal for us was to go to Nashville. And up until that time...
Which was still a pretty small town back then.
That's right.
Back then, if you wanted to eat dinner after 8, it was Shoney's, Waffle House.
And Shoney's was on the high end of our economy.
Yeah.
We were lower middle income, so we didn't get to do a lot. And I knew that the Army would afford me an opportunity to go different places and experience new things. And that's really what led me to the Army.
So reading this in the book, and this is God, Family, Country, which is what you're all about. And this book is one of the best books I've read.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm 10 pages in. And, it reads like an adventure fiction novel. It's well written, but unless you did something interesting, it wouldn't be fun. I mean, you really have had a really interesting life in the military, and you wrote about it well, the way you talk about those years.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank my co-writer, Jim DeFelice. He really showed me how to do that. But it's funny you say that because the whole time we were writing this, and it took me almost 2 years. Because I didn't just sit down and write the book. I did it while I was continuing to live a lot of these things that are in the book. And for example, some of the stories with some of the guys in Panama, we took 2 days and I brought all those guys together. All of the guys that are still around from my platoon. And I brought them to my place down in Florida, and we all sat there for 2 days and shared stories. Listened to them. And they were telling it from their perspective. And I would bring up a story, and they go, oh, no, that wasn't nothing like that. You did this, you know. And I was their platoon sergeant, so it was really an unusual feeling for me to hear them talk about it from their perspective. You know, you just don't know.
Well, it's like two people at the same auto accident see two different accidents.
Yeah. Even now, in the stuff that I talk about, referencing some of the music stuff, the hits when they were happening, as my career has been progressing throughout my career, I look back and I didn't even realize the magnitude of some of those things because I was so busy doing it. I've always had this philosophy of don't spend your life trying to be a part of history. Just live your life and make history. It will happen. And so I've always just lived and all of these things. It's not until afterwards that I remember and I'm starting to reflect on the stories. I mean, sometimes even as the stories happened, it seemed like normal, if that makes any sense. Combat to me, when that was happening, it seemed perfectly normal.
It was second nature to you at that point, right?
I think so. And I'm the weird one. I've always thought everybody else was weird, but I can remember, like I think I talked about in Panama, we were walking down the street and there was a grenade there, and the spoon, that's back when they had a spoon on a grenade. They called them a spoon. It's the thing that pops off when you pull the pin. And it was laying there, and I walked up on it, and the pin was out, but the spoon was still attached. And everyone was completely freaking out. And I just remember thinking, it's not going to blow up. The spoon is still attached. And I just reached down and picked it up with the spoon, and I'm walking around with it, and I'm going, hey, we need something to stick in here to keep the spoon from popping off. And even my team, a couple of the guys were like, I remembered, I ran a block away. I just knew you were dead. You were going to die. I'm like, it was attached though, but there was no pin. And we argued the whole time going,
Yeah, nuts. He's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I got this really dangerous thing here. You have a pin on you? And then there's when y'all got to Noriega's house.
Oh, yeah.
And you just judge, oh, hey, it might be booby traps. Oh, yes, it's booby traps.
Yeah, the wall lockers, some of the things, the doors. And it was one of those things, like I said, sort of second nature. But in all honesty, in all fairness, that was my first conflict of any sort. I mean, true, real conflict. And for me, every step that we took and every maneuver, every building that we entered, it was, in my head, it was playing like a movie. I mean, it really felt like I was in some kind of a movie or something. And so when we went into them, like, oh, we should probably check for booby traps. It seemed like
because
what they did in the movies.
movie.
And sure enough, there were booby traps, and so you just dismantle them and you're going about your business. And
yeah. Then you settle into Noriega's house.
Yep.
Start
kick
relaxing.
feet up on his desk.
Smoke his cigars. Some of his cigars got smoked, I thought.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I smoked a few of them.
Yeah.
And I don't even smoke.
I like the way you didn't put it so clearly in the book. They might have gotten smoked.
Oh, yeah. I can say that now. They did get smoked.
So during some or maybe all of this time, you're dragging a guitar around with you, right? I always wondered, if there's just some hard-nosed, officer who's just no guitars. If it doesn't shoot, you can't bring it. Or was it easy to bring a guitar?
It was for the most part because, we had downtime. And so when we were down, they encouraged us to do those types of activities. Music has always been a big part of my life. And I've learned that it's very therapeutic. I didn't even know how therapeutic it was. It was just always a part of my life.
And you just fell into songwriting?
I did. It was my first choice, believe it or not. Songwriting is what I really wanted to do. I had no aspirations of being an entertainer, a singer, a star. That's what I always thought. I don't want to be a star. I want to write songs. Because you make money and you don't have to go nowhere.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, nobody, you don't have to do nothing. And I'd done well. I started writing for a little company called Maypop Publishing, owned by Alabama. I'm sure you know.
Yep.
Wrote with those guys for a couple of years. It was wonderful, wonderful introduction to songwriting and the lifestyle and everything. And was getting some cuts.
You're out at this point, out of the military.
No, I'm still in the active reserves. So I was still do 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And I was doing more than that because I was always so nervous that the music wasn't going to work, that I wanted to maintain good time. So I would sometimes go to Fort Campbell and my unit there, and I would be there Monday through Wednesday. And I'd go home at night, but I'd go work an 8-hour shift, an 8-hour day, just like everybody else, go do PT. But all the while I was doing that, I was also going in and doing writers' nights every chance I could. Play the Bluebird, play downtown, whatever writers. Now, when I was doing this, mind y'all, downtown Nashville was not like downtown Nashville now.
No.
It wasn't all these country artist bars. I mean, there was Tootsie's, maybe Second Fiddle. And I didn't never play any of those. I always played like Broken Spoke, the places that they did nothing but writers' nights, where songwriters went in and literally sat there in a round and for 2 or 3 hours played songs that they'd written in that day or the day before or the week before. That's what I did.
So when you're doing these writers' nights and you get your publishing deal, which leads to a record deal, have you changed your mind and you do want to be a recording artist? Did you make that choice and go after it, or did somebody say, you really need to do this and get into that?
It was that. It was someone said, you should do this. I had been in writing, and I was on my way back to the house, and I got a phone call from a guy named Brian Schweitzer. He was the head of Atlantic Records at the time. And he called me and he said, hey, you got a song called 302 South Maple Avenue. And I said, yes, sir, I do. And all I'm thinking is, I'm thinking the artist on Atlantic Records that might cut that song, because that's how we make more money, you know. So I got real excited. I said, yes, I do. He said, would you come in and talk to us about it? And where are you at? Are you in town? I said, I am. And I was actually all the way over by Briley Parkway. And I'll never forget, he said, when can you be here? I said, I'll be there in about 5 minutes. And I crossed over the interstate in my Jeep. I turned right back around, went right back into town. And I got there in about 8 minutes. I was about 3 minutes late. And he was there, and Al Cooley. I think Al Cooley may have been one of the best A&R guys in all of the music business that I have ever met. I walked in, and I was excited, thinking they're going to ask me about this song, who else I wrote it with, and blah, blah, blah. And they said, would you sing it? And I'm like, it's a piano song. I don't play piano. But, I mean, you got the demo. He goes, no, we want to hear you sing it. And Al said, sing it a cappella. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, I don't speak Italian.
I'm pitching a song, you know, and he said, just sing it. And I started singing it, and Brian Schweitzer said, you got another song? And I said, yeah. Pulled out, man, I had a bunch of songs. Here, play this one. He goes, no, sing it. I want to hear you sing it. And I had a song, and I sang it, and he said, I'll have you a letter of intent tomorrow. We'd love to sign you to Atlantic Records. And I said, all right. He said, you got a manager? And I said, yeah. He said, all right, well, give me your manager's contact. I'll give you my number. Write my number. Hey, wrote his number down, hand it to me. Give me your manager's phone number. I'll get this letter of intent to him tomorrow. I said, all right. And I walked out there, and I called Phil Bill, and I said, hey, man, I think Atlantic Records just offered me a record deal, and they said I need a manager. We need to find one. I told them I have one. I didn't have no manager. I was a songwriter.
That was Phil O'Donnell.
That's Phil O'Donnell. That's how long Phil and I have been writing together. He said, well, we'll find you one.
Phil O'Donnell is Phil Billy.
Phil Billy.
Which is a great name, and I've written with Phil. He's fantastic.
He is I think he's probably one of the more underrated, more prolific writers in town. And a great producer as well. He and I have been producing all my stuff.
You've made top-notch records and great songs and really moving songs, and you're one of those writers and singers who's bringing so much emotion to it. The Father, my Son, and the Holy Ghost, you know, and of course knowing the heartache and tragedy behind that song.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Clint, though, that was a song that that wasn't something I set out to write. I never intended.
It came out.
It came out.
That's God's way of draining you of some grief.
It's that therapy we talked about early on. And I tell people all the time, I didn't write that song. God wrote that song. Truly. I mean, whew.
Well, going through, and for our viewers here, losing your son tragically, there's no way to, I don't think, set out to put something into words about your feelings. So I believe, you know.
Oh, no, God did it. And I don't even know that he did it for me as much. I really don't. And I'm not trying to sound, I don't know what the word would be, egotistical, arrogant, or pompous, or anything. But I'm just telling you I'm under the mentality, I'm the old school, if the stove is hot, you don't touch it. You only have to touch it once, you get burnt, and then you go, wow, I don't need to do that again, right? I feel the same way about anything that hurts you like that. Your heart even, you generally try to avoid it as best you can. Well, here I am trying to avoid something, and yet I put it out there. And I say that to say that I don't know that God did it for me as much as he did it for other people.
But
I have to accept the pain.
I watched you sing that on the shows we did, and I don't know. I had to sing a song that I wrote that really related to the loss of my father and my sister-in-law, which happened right around the same time. And it took me a long time to be able to feel like I wasn't falling apart.
Yeah.
So I commend you on pushing through that and sharing that with people. And, I could see, anybody watching can see that's a fight. That's a fight to sing that. And
I had a big hit called Tough, talking about women dealing with cancer. And it was a very powerful song for people. I just recorded it because I couldn't help but think about all the women in my life who were so strong, Fast forward, the song's a huge hit. Fast forward a couple years, and my mom passes away from cancer. It took me a long time to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we live what we sing. I had a song called "A Lot of Man and That Little Boy" I wrote, and it all started from me coming home one day, and my dog had got hit, and my oldest son, who was probably 8 at the time, he went out there to get it. And of course, he was crying. Our dog died, got hit by a car. And the neighbor come out and seen him, and he said, "Kyle, I'll take care of this. You don't have to do that." He said, sorry, I'm sorry. He said, "No, it was my dad's dog. He'd want me to do it."
A lot of man in that.
And I said, "There's a lot of man in that little boy." Ooh, that's a good idea. That's the bad part about being a songwriter. You know, you can be in a very bad situation, sometimes a dark situation, and go, "Well, we need to write that." Yeah. That's really good.
Hey, Phil, Billy.
Phil, yeah. Hey, man.
Dealing with something right now, but write this down. So with you, with your strong faith and, of course, your patriotism and your will and need to serve your country and communities, you've written and recorded some really, really powerful stuff. It's a great catalog that the kids out there need to hear and listen and pay attention to those lyrics and take those messages to heart, and we'll all be better for it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Truthfully.
I've never felt like I really tried to push a message. I really haven't. I look back now and I realize that God did this throughout my entire career. I mean, I tried to get out of this career a bunch of times. And every time I thought, that's it, I'm done. My time is up. I'm going to go back in the Army. God did something. So it was...
You're better at this than you were at the Army. Let's face it.
I found out that I do have a message. And I want to do everything I can to share it in a way that is positive. After my son died, we started a family business, and we created this little motto with our business and with our family. It was HAPI, being happy. But it meant something. We weren't just being happy. We were having a positive impact. And it seems super cheesy. I mean, it really does, but it's the truth. I want myself, and I only hang out with people. I don't waste my time with people who aren't trying to have a positive impact. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to disagree. It doesn't mean that I might even argue with you. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to say things I shouldn't sometimes. I know that. But I'm spending every effort to have a positive impact in all that I do.
Your book, your songs, they deliver that, and it's because of your principles and your values and your faith. So we love it.
Well, thank you.
One more question I ask all my guests. When you get to heaven, If you could sing a song with anyone who's already there, who would it be and what song would you sing?
Oh, I don't know. St. Augustus, maybe?
St. Augustus.
I'd want to listen to the saints sing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Would you
yeah.
sing When the Saints Go Marching In?
Yeah.
It needs to be a long, long time from now so we can have you here.
Oh, well, thank you,
Many,
buddy.
many years to come.
Thank you.
Craig Morgan, right there.
Thank you.
Great American.
Thank you. Love you, buddy.
A lot of admiration for you.
Same here.
Thanks.